Hello, Christian here. If you're just finding the protocols that I teach on self-healing digestive illness, welcome. Hopefully you're in the right place, right? If you're sort of tired of the merry-go-round of trying to get modern medicine to fix your digestive condition, and you go back to your doctor over and over, and you're getting more and more pills, and nothing good seems to come from that, then you're in the right place, because there's a better way to deal with that situation, and that's what you're going to learn in all of this. In this short video, I just want to share with you what I refer to as, and my way of explaining how this whole setup and how this whole approach is very different than anything you will have seen before, is to start by explaining that medical systems are like maps, and you can use a different map depending on what your actual goal is. I mean, if I need to, right now I'm in the Caribbean, if I need to get to Belize by boat, I'm going to use a nautical chart, right? I'm not going to use a topographical map like I would use if I was hiking in the mountains in the Rockies, right, or in Appalachia. I'm going to use the map that's appropriate for my specific goal. Now, in medicine, what this amounts to is, and the reason that this concept is a good starting point, it's the starting point, because you're going to have questions like, who is this guy, and what is this self-healing approach for digestive illness? Let me explain why this really matters as a starting point. When you go to your doctor, you're going to a system that is based on a medical map that is great at treating things that you don't have. Specifically, for all of human history, tens of millions of years of human development, there was no way you could stop and repair, say, a massive bleeding condition. There's no way that you could deal with somebody who was, again, the common things that we all know that we go to our modern medical system for. You're in a car accident, right? You got so sick that... what are the common reasons that people, right? You go into cardiac arrest, or somebody has a heart attack. You're using a power tool and you chop 3 of your fingers off, or something along these lines, okay? This modern medical system we have is a miracle. It's an absolute miracle of achievement, and it doesn't get a lot of credit for what it's great at. And what it's great at is keeping you alive in situations that all throughout history until about the last 50 to 100 years were absolute guaranteed death sentences. And when you think about now also surgery to replace your organs, right? You can get a new kidney. I have a friend who just got a new kidney. Or there's a malignant tumor and they're able to go in and excise it and pull that out. All of these things are absolutely miraculous, because prior to that kind of medical system, these were all death sentences. Okay, but, and here's the most unfortunate part of what I'm telling you, that emergency medical care system is not good at all when it comes to treating your chronic digestive imbalance. A chronic condition, and all digestive illness is, right, on some level, right, I'm not talking here about, right, we're not talking about food poisoning. Oh, you ate some tainted food and you got sick and you vomited it out and you're well again. That's not a chronic digestive problem. But if you're watching this, you're dealing with a chronic digestive problem, probably, and that means that you need a different map. And the unfortunate thing is that almost everybody coming to this program for the very first time believes that the modern medical emergency medicine map is the only map. And that's terrible. That's terrible, because for most people, it's like that door is... The door that I'm going to open for you in this program is not only shut, you don't even know that it exists. And so knowing that there's another system by itself is partly what I want to share with you. I want to introduce you to the idea that, no, there's another map that helps you make sense of your illness in a way that actually gives you power to heal it. And when I say power to heal it, I'm not a cheerleader for, say, the New Age, hey, take this miracle supplement, miracle herbal concoction from the Himalayas or the Amazon rainforest, and everything's magically going to be better. I hate that kind of positive thinking. I hate that kind of new age lack of logic, and I'm even not a fan of that kind of marketing, although obviously I am a fan of proper marketing and promoting my own program. But you need to know, right, that this is a very, very logical, it's an old, very venerable, really ancient kind of medical logic that existed prior to the modern medical system that is so good at treating your emergency medical conditions. So there was and is still a medical system that helps you make sense of what's happening. You can take the data that's happening in your life and make sense of it in a way that allows you to heal your own digestive system. What am I talking about? Well, when you go to your doctor and they check and see, and maybe they run a few tests, and maybe you get an endoscopy, right? Or maybe you get, from the other end, you get colonoscopy, and they do all kinds of tests. Is there blood in your stool? What's going on with your digestion? You get tested for H. pylori. Maybe they shoot a picture with you drink a radioactive milkshake. No, it's not radioactive. But they shoot an X-ray, and then they look for, hey, do you have hiatal hernia, right? What's going on inside your guts that's giving you these digestive symptoms, whether that's acid reflux or, for my new program, right, IBS symptoms. And then they return some kind of verdict, and then they start you on medications, and if your condition is severe enough or under the right circumstances, they recommend surgery. So that's what you get, pills and surgery, okay? And the reason that's not sufficient for chronic conditions, of course, the reason that's not sufficient is that your chronic condition is going on absolutely every day, every hour of the day, and also in chronic situations, the patient must recognize and take some action to aid recovery. It is not sufficient for your doctor to jump in and, hey, I'm here to save the day and to make everything better. Chronic conditions, because of the nature of the imbalance that's going on, do not respond to, oh, I see my doctor once every couple of weeks to get my checkup and condition checked on and a new prescription, or another dose of the same medication they've had me on that isn't working already. Okay? With chronic conditions, one of the pillars of my thinking here is that if you're going to recover, some part of this is up to you as the patient. Who knows your health better than you do? Nobody. Certainly not your doctor. You're living with yourself and your symptoms every single hour of the day, okay? And probably really wish that you could get rid of them. So when you have a chronic digestive illness, you need a medical map. You need a medical system that makes sense of what you're experiencing. Okay, so basically how we do this is you're going to learn to interpret your symptoms, and you're going to learn what organs are producing those symptoms. You're going to learn a deeper explanation of cause and effect, not a simplistic one like, oh, you just have too much stomach acid. Great, then let's block the stomach acid and my reflux will go away, right? That's the basic logic when you're taking an acid blocker from your doctor. The problem is that it's the wrong logic. It's the wrong logic because it's the wrong map. Okay? You don't have too much stomach acid, and taking an acid blocker doesn't make you better. It actually makes you worse, even though you can get some obviously temporary relief in the moment that medication is working. But what are you doing to your organs long term? Okay? Most of you know this already. Okay? I'm giving you a for example here. So the basic situation giving rise to all manner of digestive illness can be described like this, in this new medical map that I'm teaching you. Typically, people, let's just take the core imbalance, right? If you have digestive illness, one of the things that will be going on is that your liver is too hot. How do we know that? Well, because once the body is out of control, once your internal organs are out of control, and you have chronic symptoms of any nature, and most chronic illnesses will at some point come down to digestive illness. And if you have this going on in your body will work harder to try to keep you well and keep you going. And that shows up as heat in your liver. So how do you know if you have signs and symptoms of liver heat? What are those signs and symptoms? Well, that's what I teach you how to recognize, okay? When your liver is overheating, also one of the things that happens immediately, not this happens, and then a few years later something else happens. No, this happens very, very quickly, like within days. If your liver's overheated, and most adults are dealing with too much heat coming from the liver because of the very nature of being sick and of life itself, right? If you're an adult, you have to, right? There's stress involved somewhere in your life, whether that's monetary stress, raising kids, whatever it might be. As your liver is overheating, your spleen is taking a beating and wearing out and getting tired, and you develop symptoms that the spleen is not strong enough, not robust enough, not healthy enough and strong enough to keep doing what it's supposed to do to aid your digestive process. What are those symptoms? Well, that's what you'll learn, okay? And then once we know that, okay, well, we have these symptoms that the liver's out of control, and with these symptoms that the spleen is also suffering, right, as a result, and that these are some of the things that are contributing to my digestive illness, what do we do about that? Okay? And that's what you learn inside the protocol. So it's a very step-by-step methodology. Now, I'm giving you the basic imbalance here because everybody needs to know this. Everybody needs to understand that these two organs that make up your pivot will definitely be headed out of balance if you're dealing with the chronic digestive disorder. But what else is going on? If your spleen is weak, you're going to have dampness. If you don't know what dampness is, this is a great example of a concept that exists in this medical map that the modern medical map, there's nothing at all about it, right? It's like back to the original example. If I'm using a nautical chart to get from A to B by sailing across the ocean, well, there's some data on that chart that's not on the topographical chart that I'm using when I go hiking in the Rockies, right? Those are two totally different data sets. This one makes sense of this concept called dampness. And if you do have a weak spleen, you will be dealing with dampness. You're going to have symptoms of this at some point. Most people do. If your liver's overheating, you could get symptoms of dryness going on. Do you have dryness in the upper body, in the lungs? Do you have dryness in your intestines? How do you know? What are the symptoms that tell you that? Okay? So understanding your symptoms, reading and interpreting and understanding your symptoms so that we know what the body is telling us, understanding what's causing, what specific organ and organ imbalance is causing that pattern of symptoms, what I'm referring to as a starting point, right, as your reflux type. What's the dominant imbalance here? What's your main problem that we have to start out fixing? And then what are all the other subset problems underneath that? And then from there, from that standpoint, from that understanding, which you will understand going through this program, and you will know way better than anybody else could tell you after you learn a few things. Very, very simple process of learning this. A few minutes a day is all you really need to master this process. And then, and only then, selecting the correct solutions for your specific imbalance. And then, as your condition changes, because it's going to change, once you start feeling improvement, something else is going to happen. We need to change what we're doing, right? You had a lot of dampness, but now your dryness symptoms are worse. Okay, how are we going to deal with that? Okay, well, let's change what we're doing to deal with dryness now instead of dampness, okay? And all of this together amounts to this protocol that I refer to as fixing your pivot. So the pivot protocol, my new program for IBS sufferers, the IBS protocol, all come from and are based on this understanding of, hey, let's use the correct medical map for the kind of problems and conditions and symptoms and misery, right, that are going on in patients with chronic digestive disorders of any kind, okay? And learning this process and step by step. And I mean, I walk you right through it. And I do short videos like this one to try to help people get through this material and really master this. Once you've mastered this process, it is yours for life. You have the keys to good digestive health for life. And when your digestion is working properly, all your other systems in your body, from sleep, right, to pain, right, everything else tends to improve as well. Okay? So there's a good basis and a very good logical argument for why, and I even talk about this in another video. It's like, what if getting sick with a chronic digestive disorder, like reflux, like IBS, like all of the things that go along with these terrible conditions in terms of digestive disorders, what if this was actually a blessing? What if your illness is the thing that allowed you to learn a process by which you never had to be sick with digestive problems ever again. That would be a really, really big net positive for your life. And that's my hope for all of you. So thank you. Thank you for joining in this journey back to health. I'm here to help you. If you take this seriously, it can really, really seriously change your life. And that is my hope and my goal for all of you. So thanks again for your business. And send me emails, send me updates when you get into the material, because I always like hearing from students who get into this. Thanks again.